Hello, today we have Woodbury News Net in the house. Podcast. I'm your host, Ann Schweiskuth, the Executive Director of True Lens Community Media, and joining me today is the co-founder and chair of the Woodbury News Net, Susan Kent.
Hi, Ann.
Thanks for coming in.
I'm so glad to be here. This is great.
It's exciting to talk about Woodbury News Net because you've been around for a little while. Mm-hmm. When did this all start up?
So we just celebrated our second anniversary as an organization, and we're a local nonprofit community organization, and we've been publishing for a year and a half. It's funny, and this is completely coincidental. Our first meeting as an organization after we agreed we were doing this was February 1st, and then coincidentally, our editor said we're starting to publish on August 1st that same year. So we have a birthday every 6 months.
Every 6 months. Do you have cake or?
We do have
you
cake.
do?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm. For people who aren't aware, what is the Woodbury News Net?
Yep. So Woodbury News Net is our local news source. As many people may be aware, we used to have a newspaper, the Woodbury Bulletin, and it closed about 6 years ago.
It was such a sad day.
It was,
terrible.
And that's the thing. I think everybody realized maybe they weren't reading it on a super regular basis, but it was there.
It was there.
And we knew that there was a place to go for good basic information about our city and our community.
Yeah, they had local reporters. I remember reading it when I was in high school.
Right.
It's been around a long time.
Yes.
It always had really good reporting and people who cared about and were in the community.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And just knowing there was a place you could get information you could trust. And now with social media, everybody's got, I heard this, I heard that. And you never know, is this real? Is it not? Where do I go? And so several of us decided we need to do something about this. And to me, the funny story is, I was a former state senator for the city of Woodbury.
Mm-hmm.
And
for years.
10 years I was in office. And I'd been thinking about this for a while. My background, my private sector background was in marketing and advertising with a lot of work on the media side. And I remember watching the media landscape change, particularly while I was in office. But I remembered the Woodbury Patch when it was really good.
Yes, they had a local reporter who lived right in town.
Yes, and he worked 365 days a year, 24/7.
He was a hard worker.
He really was.
Yeah.
And I knew that wasn't sustainable for any human being. But I also looked at this, and again, from an advertising and marketing perspective, I said, this is doable. This is something we could do. And after I got out of office, I had seen an article about Eden Prairie was doing this sort of thing. And I was like, we should do this. And I started meeting with people. And they said, that's a great idea. We should do this. And they said, Kathy Saltzman, another former senator from Woodbury, who I know well, was having the same conversations inspired by the Eden Prairie local news. And so one thing led to another. We got a group of people from the community together, really sort of debated, can we do this? Can we not? Can we do it just digital? Because that's a huge impact factor on whether or not you can do it affordably.
Well, to print a paper, that's a lot of money.
Yes, it is a lot of money to have paper, ink, printing, and distribution. Not to mention just laying out a paper. It's a lot easier to throw an article up on a web page.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's a totally different beast. And a lot of people, there's still paper readers out there for sure.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people are getting their news digitally.
Right. Exactly. And just on your phone,
Yes.
So anyway, we were, and so like I said, we went through this process. February 1st, 2024 is when we sort of became official. We were doing this. More volunteers. We got the 501c3 status, and bit by bit, Woodbury Community Foundation was a big help in getting us started. And we were volunteer run for that first full year. And then we've had a paid editor now for a year, which is really exciting.
That's exciting. And then you send out an email blast.
Yep. So
is it once a week?
It's actually two. So we have two newsletters that we send out. So on Tuesdays right now, and these are all evolving as we grow, but we have Out and About comes on Tuesdays, and that's events and new restaurants and stuff about like just being out and about in the community. And then the Roundabout is our main newsletter, and that comes out on Thursday mornings. And so it's completely free to subscribe. We believe, again, we're a nonprofit organization. This is about creating something sustainable to make sure local folks have local information. And so we want everybody to be able to have access to it. And so it comes free to your email twice a week now, and all of that's going to be evolving and getting a little more customizable and that kind of stuff over time. But you get it for free. It tells you what's going on, and you can always go to the website, which is woodburynewsnet.org. And we're nonprofit, so we accept donations, and we're getting sponsorships and advertising going. And so, we want this to be a real reflection and resource for the community.
That's awesome. I always enjoy getting the email, and I always read all the articles. I love the scramble, the word scramble.
People love the scramble.
I don't know what it is about it. It's got a little kind of like Wordle thing for me.
Yeah.
And I usually get all of the words. If not, I might not get one of the bonus words because that's a little longer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you had the Olympic one, the last one, and that was fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we love hearing, we've just gotten so much amazing feedback in the community. And our biggest challenge is, we're trying to get people to spread the word, let people know that we're out there, because it doesn't cost anything to have access to it and to know it's there, and turn to it when you need it or want it. But one of my favorite stories from this past year that I think a lot of people will relate to, one day I had to go to the post office, and then I had to go someplace else in town. I can't even remember where. And I'm at the post office. It's like, okay, now I need to go. I was like, oh, road construction. Can I get there from here?
That was a big question. A lot of people asked this summer.
Exactly. And so I'm sitting there in the parking lot of the post office, and I pull up Woodbury News Net and the most recent article about road construction, and I knew how to get where I was going.
Oh, nice. See, it's practical,
It
too.
is, yes.
So what kind of things are you reporting on?
It is such a broad reflection of the community. We like to stay on top of the stuff that seems really, like road construction was obviously a huge deal last summer, and it will be again this summer. And so we want to make sure that we're staying on top of things that really affect people, practically speaking. We had those tragic house fires last year, and we covered those. Obviously, elections, making sure people know that there is an election coming up. Because we're still new, we don't have like letters to the editor or opinion columns or any of that stuff yet. We would love to get to the point where we have enough bandwidth for our editorial team to take that on. But that's still a growing project. But in the meantime, we can say, here are the elections that are going on. Here are the candidates. Here's some basic information you can know about the candidates and how to find out more. And so that way people can just be informed. And in other things that are going, there was a lot of interest in the potential ICE detention facility here in Woodbury.
A lot of discussion about that.
And so our reporters and our editor were staying on top of that and covering it, when the county took some actions and when the city had their...
You had very timely updates.
Yes.
Which is what we need with local reporting.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which is great.
Yeah. And so, and we are the 7th largest city in the state of Minnesota, which always sort of boggles people's minds.
It bumped up from 8.
It did.
It was 8, and then it just bumped up to 7.
I have watched it
last year.
I think when I started, we were like 10th in the state.
Wow.
And so, I always joke that I wanted to have something like embroidered on a hat or something. It's like, we're the 8th largest city in the state. We are now the 7th largest city in the state. And I've always sort of like, when talking about the Woodbury News Net, it's like, hey, we know more in Woodbury about the Minneapolis City Council than we do about our own. And that's just really not okay.
Right. I think that's wonderful. And I think it's great that it's out there and it's free.
Yes.
All you have to do is send your email. Yep. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to get a bunch of ads. I don't get any spam from when I've signed up from this. So I will say that.
Again, we're a nonprofit, community service, public service organization. We don't want to abuse anybody's trust. Now, we are going to be doing more communications with the audience, and so that people get to know us and understand our organization better. Yes, we may make some fundraising appeals on a periodic basis, and that's so that we can keep it free for everybody and make it sustainable. But we're also going to be talking about, hey, we need volunteers, because we have some really cool opportunities for people who have different types of professional skills or interests if they want to practice some things or do stuff. So we want to be able to communicate who we are, what we're doing. What do you want us to see? What do you want to see us add next? Because we want to keep growing the types of things we cover. And to have that sort of two-way communication channel. So I just want, it's like, yes, right now we're only emailing you twice a week, but like I said, that's going to become more customizable, but we are going to add a component where we are not daily by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. You don't want to be like, okay, I got to send out another email.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But to maintain communication with our community as a member of the community, as an organization within the community.
It's going to be exciting to see how you grow.
It's been so much fun.
All right. Let's get into our first video for the True Lens podcast today. We always watch a couple of videos and then we chat about them. Our first video is called Dust 'em Off Snowmobile Show. This is an annual event that takes place in Cottage Grove, organized by the local snowmobile club. Let's take a look.
So today is our 6th annual Dust 'em Off Vintage Snowmobile Show. You guys can see there's plenty of vintage sleds here. I believe we had 175 registered sleds today.
This is a 1980 Yamaha 440 Exciter. Sat out on a trailer for about 10 years. Bought it about 6 years ago for $50. I worked on her every day for about 2 months, I think. We touched about every bolt on it, redoing it.
So the vintage ride is we go down to our shack, which is located down in County Park. It's a mile away from here, but then there's also about a 4 or 5 mile loop after that they go on. But we stop at the shack, have a bonfire, and then they make the rest of the loop through Old Cottage Grove and back to the show. So the radar run, it's an 800-foot track, and see how fast you can go within the first 300 feet. So we just do single sleds at a time, and we got the radar gun catching speed. It's best out of 3 runs.
I have a passion of collecting the snowmobiles and would like to keep them all alive and to be seen.
I think it's important for the community because it draws in a lot of people from all over the state. I mean, we've had people from Canada show up, and it just gives everybody a good general area to get together. I love the event because sometimes this is the only event that you see certain people at, and it just brings together everybody.
Are you a snowmobile fan?
So, as a Southern girl, I have never ridden a snowmobile.
Not a whole lot of snow. You know, I've never ridden a snowmobile, and I grew up in Minnesota.
Okay, it makes me feel better.
Never done it.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
But now that we're empty nesters, my husband is actually looking at getting snowmobiles. He's like,
Really?
Yeah, he's a car guy, and so he's always looking for like what he wants, and I can't possibly quantify his optimum thing of features and money and all that.
This event might be something he wants to go to next year.
Believe me.
and check it out. You know, I think it's so cool, the different unique events that happen in South Washington County. I just wanted to mention a few. You know, we have the Navratri, which is a Hindu festival at the
Yes.
M Health Sports Center every
That's a
year.
fabulous event.
Super cool, so
cool.
colorful,
Yes.
and just amazing
Yes.
to be at. All the city festivals. You got the Strawberry Festival, Pioneer Day, Heritage Days, Woodbury Days.
Yep.
One Woodbury, kind of a newer event. I think it's what, 3rd, 4th year coming up?
Yes.
Yeah, which
And
is
it's kind of evolving in its structure, so it's sort of more types of events, not just one big festival.
Yes.
But yes.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, yeah, it started out just one event, and it was all about, you know, everybody's welcome. Let's celebrate all the different types of people and all the different cultures. So that was really fun. And now it's kind of like smaller events throughout the year,
Yes.
which is very cool. One family organizes an annual Hmong Sports Festival and Street Fair, usually in May in Cottage Grove. And that's amazing to see.
Yes.
And really great food.
Yes.
Really great food.
Yes.
Other events that you think of that are kind of unique to the area?
Well, we're getting excited for the Woodbury Expo, which is coming
Yes.
up on Saturday, the March 28th.
Organized by the
The
Woodbury Chamber.
is
Yeah.
it's one of their events, right? So a lot of different businesses and organizations are there talking to people, games, entertainment, food, lots of different food.
Yep.
And so that's always a great event. We're looking forward to being there, and it gives us a chance to talk to, hey, we're here, and this is what we do,
There's
and
like
sign up. And
over 100 vendors. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
If you want to get information about any household project,
Oh, yes.
If you want your kids to just go out and there's free balloons, there's trucks you can go through
Yeah,
that the city
fire
brings,
trucks and- yeah.
snow plow and all those
Yeah.
things. We'll be there podcasting
That's
this
so
year.
cool that you're doing that. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
gonna be a lot of fun. So what was the date on that again? It's
March 28th and
20th.
10 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'm pretty sure are the hours.
Yeah, and it is at
M Health
It's at M Health this year.
It's a sports center this year. Yes,
Okay.
because of the construction at Woodbury High School.
Oh, that totally makes sense. Okay. Yeah. It's good to keep up with all those things.
Yes.
So really great events.
Yes.
If people want to stay informed with local news, they can go to Woodbury News Net. They can also tune into an episode that we produce here at True Lens Community Media called The Scoop. And it's basically a short burst of news from the city of Woodbury, and we publish it, publish like it's a paper, We air it, twice a month. And let's check out The Scoop, and then we'll chat about it.
Hey Woodbury, quick question. When was the last time you checked the batteries on your smoke detector? If you're a senior resident, the Woodbury Fire Department can help with that. Firefighters will replace smoke detector batteries at no cost. Since the program started, they've helped with more than 770 detectors. Meet the newest member of the Woodbury Police Department. K9 Victor just graduated from school with his handler, Officer Matson. He's a German Shepherd trained in tracking, searching, obedience, and firearm detection. He's also the first firearm detection K9 in Washington County. All 4 Woodbury K9s were donated by the Woodbury Police K9 Fund. The city is launching a new online permitting and licensing system in March. That means you'll be able to apply for plumbing, HVAC, electrical permits, and licenses anytime, day or night. Faster service, easier process. Looking for a job this summer? The City of Woodbury is hiring for seasonal positions. Jobs last 3 to 6 months in maintenance, recreation, and at the golf course. Want to learn more in person? Stop by the seasonal job fair at Central Park. And that's a scoop. Take care, Woodbury.
So The Scoop, each episode, receives about 1,500 to 3,000 views on each episode, which is great. It tells us that people want to be informed, want to know what's going on. They enjoy that kind of short, bite of news. We created a mobile version this year that's just a real version that goes on, Facebook and Instagram. So people are definitely absorbing a lot more of that mobile information.
Yep.
And I think Woodbury News Net,
Mm-hmm.
you've seen a lot of that.
Yep.
How does Woodbury News Net find your stories?
It's the word of mouth. I mean, we tell people, send us your tips, your story ideas, events, that sort of thing. And it's all, you can go to news@woodburynewsnet.org, just email it in. That's a good way to do it. You can find it on the website, obviously. And then it's also just we are part of the community.
You're out and about.
We're out and about. we are parents with kids in school, and we are, people who volunteer with different types of things and have different types of jobs and different types of hobbies and interests. And so, we through a broad group of volunteers, we know stuff.
You know a lot of things, which is great. Yeah, people see you out in the street and they go, "Hey, I got a story for you."
That's right. That happens more than you know. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Which is great. Stop Susan at the grocery store. She wants to hear your story.
Please do.
How did you come up with the name Woodbury News Net?
That was really fun. It was a group, again, we brought in a group of people who know the community and sort of brainstormed some different ideas, and we wanted it to have the name news in it. And obviously we wanted it to be Woodbury because it was that was one of our conversations. Is it going to be sort of regional, or is it going to be really local to Woodbury? So that's why it's Woodbury News. And then the net just sort of, it's a sort of double entendre in the sense that it's the net, as in it's digital, but it's also the network, the safety net, the community net.
Oh, that's great.
Of the community, because
I didn't know that.
That's the whole point. Is it's not just to sort of preach people about city council news.
Right.
I mean,
right.
It's about making sure we all know what's going on in our community around us, about the issues, the policies, the tax proposals, public safety, whatever it might be, certainly events. What are the needs in our community? One of my favorite stories from early on was we had I forget which organization it was, but they do reading in schools. And they needed some volunteers. And so we put a little bit in there. They got 11 volunteers to go into the schools and read.
Isn't that great when you see the results of it and it's positive?
And without this kind of, central information source, people just don't know, where they can pitch in and help out. Because everybody does want to pitch in and help out. It's just, you have to, this is a great way to sort of stay in touch and be plugged in.
You don't know where to start.
That's right.
Start at the Woodbury News Net.
That's right.
Okay, final words, Susan. What do you want people to know?
Well, we are so excited about this, and we're so thrilled with the reception that we've gotten from the community. And our biggest challenge right now is just spreading the word. Right, we're close. We're about to hit 3,600 subscribers, which
That's great.
We're thrilled, and we want to keep growing it. And so, please tell your friends and family. It is free. There's if you're busy that week, you don't have to read it,
Right.
But we're there when you need us. We do need volunteers, and there's information on that on the website, too, of how to get involved. But really just help us spread the word, and because it's what we know is without local news, communities are not as engaged as they should be. And
Right.
Woodbury has long been a very connected, engaged community, and we want to maintain that legacy. One of the things I've heard is with like city planning commission type things, those the city commissions where people volunteer to be on them and participate. In most communities, they're like begging people to be on, and we have more people apply than we have spots for, which
Isn't that great?
Such a great comment.
That's
on this
so
community.
great.
Yeah, and we want to keep that, and that because that's why we're such a strong and vital community, and it's too valuable to us and our kids, and so that's what we're here to do.
That is a great final word. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Susan. I actually learned stuff about Woodbury News Net, which is great.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all you're doing and being in this work of informing our community.
Well, awesome. Well, you are officially the final podcast for the True Lens podcast at our office in Cottage Grove.
Wow.
We'll be moving to Woodbury in by the time this airs, we'll be in Central Park.
Lots of memories in this place.
Lots of memories.
Yes.
It's been a good place for us to be,
Yes.
and we look forward to our next place.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day.
Thanks for joining us. True Lens Podcast. Subscribe now. Brought to you by True Lens Community Media. Watch, listen, connect.